Okay, we did not see this coming. We started watching Baby Reindeer thinking it was just another dark comedy, but it really hit us. If you've seen it, you know exactly what we mean. And if you haven't, stick around. We're gonna break down what this series is trying to explain without spoiling the ending, because honestly, the show deserves a discussion. Baby Reindeer follows Donny, a struggling comedian and bartender who offers a small act of kindness to a woman. And from that moment, his life begins to unravel. What starts as a strange, almost darkly comedic encounter slowly spirals into something way more sinister. The woman Martha starts showing up at the pub regularly. At first, it seems harmless, but her behavior quickly turns obsessive. She begins stalking Donny, sending him hundreds of emails, showing up uninvited and inserting herself into his life in ways that are unpredictable and even unsettling. But here's the twist. The show isn't just about her. As the episodes unfold, we learn that Donny has his own complex and traumatic past. The show begins to shift focus, not just on what's happening now, but why he responds the way he does and what he's been burying under layers of shame, silence, and humor. This isn't a typical stalker victim story. It's a nuanced, uncomfortable, and at times heartbreaking exploration of sexual trauma, guilt, abuse, masculinity, and the desperate need to be seen and understood. Donny's initial act of kindness towards Martha isn't just generosity, it's a psychological pattern. He wants to be seen as good, helpful, even heroic, but deep down, he's craving validation and control in a life where he often felt powerless. This falls into what's called the fawn response. You know, a fight, flight, or freeze, but there's also fawn. It's a trauma response where people try to earn safety or affection by pleasing others, even if it harms them in the process, which honestly, I may have done that. That's why Donny let Martha into his life longer than most people would. It's not stupidity, it's survival. Donny doesn't fit the stereotype of a helpless victim. He was deeply violated by a man, which is all I'll say, because honestly, it was kind of graphic in the show. Male victims of sexual violence deserve to be heard, and doesn't make it any different just because they're a man. There is still a big traumatic impact. I've seen this with people I knew. I've heard their stories, I've heard stranger stories, and it's heartbreaking, and it explains a lot of their behaviors, their mindsets, their patterns, the cycles. It does. Donny's onstage persona seems confident and charming, but offstage, he's anxious, haunted, and fragile. Sound familiar? So many people live double lives like this, showing the world a curated version of themselves while hiding the pain they think no one will understand. This ties into imposter syndrome, which I've mentioned before on my channel, hyperindependence, and the use of humor as a coping mechanism.
Anyway, Stranger was this cuddly, fluffy thing. It was the only good thing about my childhood. I'd hug it when they fought. You are the spit of that reindeer. You mean so much to me.
As you can see, Martha is attached to Donny because he gives her a sense of comfort, hence calling him Baby Reindeer. Although the last episode was really interesting, we won't spoil it, hence us being vague with the details of this series. Here's where we're gonna put our personal take to this. As much as I can't fully relate to Donny's character or Donny's story, I definitely do see in my personal life where I went back to situations or I didn't get away from situations fast enough because I felt bad for the person and I stayed longer than I should have, and I ended up being in a situation that was not good. And this problem of being too empathetic where you just feel bad for someone even if they're hurting them because you try to rationalize and you try to almost explain why they're doing this, but yet at the same time not realizing that you're hurting yourself like that because you're dismissing what you're feeling and you're dismissing the problems they're causing and the pain they're causing you by trying to justify or rationalize it. Not necessarily justify, but rationalize it somehow because you feel bad for them. Yeah, you can feel bad for people, but they also have control over themselves and they have control over their life and they have control of what they do. They're not being controlled by somebody like they're a Sims character. They have free will, although Sims do have free will. That's a setting you have to turn on. But we do have free will, and if people are gonna act in ways that are harmful to us, we need to take action. This is gonna be a little bit of a spoiler, okay? I warned you. But Donny did end up trying to press charges against her, but then he ended up still feeling bad for her. So it really is an interesting dynamic of what's going on, and a lot of people can relate. Maybe not to this extent, but a lot of us can relate.
When he first met Martha, he felt very sorry for her. He has a lot of compassion, and that compassion was used as a coercion. So I've experienced that in real life. I've felt bad for somebody who I was friends with, trying to get them to stop doing a certain vice, and in turn it was just dragging me down with them, right? And I was, next thing you know, I was doing the vice that I was trying to get them away from, because kind of like he was showing compassion to Martha, and she started like dragging him into her world, her delusions. At its core, the story is about emotional vulnerability and setting boundaries and what happens when those lines become unclear. So it basically explores like the psychology behind obsession. Why do some people become fixated on others? Understanding very complex behaviors and trauma can shape the ways we like connect with others.
By understanding the nuances of trauma and what it does to people and trauma bonds, it could really help us have more compassion for other people, have more compassion to ourselves, and approach things in a way that considers all factors and considers all these little different moving pieces to the whole puzzle. And it makes us reflect on why we do the things we do, and can also help combat the shame behind people who have trouble getting out of abusive situations and cycles. It's very easy for people to talk when they're not in situations, but trauma really does mess with people's heads, whether it's mental, physical, sexual, emotional. It does. And I think that this is a very dark, very deep, very complex story that he actually did go through that could really help us learn. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know if you guys want a part 2, or if you guys want me to do something like this for another show or another movie. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.